But the city of God can be read in more than one way. Because in the city of God, Augustine talks about two cities, an earthly city and a heavenly city. Now, one way of reading the book is to see the earthly city as the Roman Empire and the heavenly city as the Christian church. Now, if you read the book in that way, then Augustine's answer to the critique that the Roman Empire fell because it became Christian is this. Its Christianity was only skin deep. Its Christianity was only a veneer. If it had really been Christian, then God would have protected it. Now, such a reading was, you'll be unsurprised to learn, very popular in the Middle Ages. It suited the Pope to say, if only the Roman Empire had obeyed the early popes as thoroughly as secular kings ought to obey the current Pope, then your power and your rule will be secure. But that reading, I'm afraid, does not work. You see, Augustine's vision is eschatological. The heavenly city is the purified church at the end of time. Jesus told a parable about the wheat and the weeds, and how the weeds and the wheat were to be left growing together because there was a risk that if you tried to pull the weeds out, you would pull up some of the wheat as well. And what's really interesting when Augustine takes that parable is he talks about the wheat and the weeds as growing within the church. The church is full of both good and bad. One of Augustine's reasons for being a Catholic bishop, not a Donatist bishop, was he thought that the Donatist church in North Africa was guilty of jumping the gun, of trying to achieve here on earth a perfect church. And so the better way, it seems to me, of reading the city of God is to understand the earthly city and the heavenly city as spiritual realities, only to be clearly distinguished on the day of judgment. Now, on this reading, being a Christian does not guarantee you success in life. In fact, that's Augustine's major answer to the critique that the Roman Empire falls because it became Christian is this. He says, whether your life is going well or badly, whether you are prospering or suffering, whether you are victorious in battle or being attacked and enslaved, is no indication of whether or not God loves you. And so God's promises are all about knowing God in the here and now and looking forward to being with God forever, but they are not about getting a big house, a flashy car, a secure empire. The formal adoption of Christianity is no guarantee that your civilization will not collapse. J.N. Figgis, Anglican priest, monk of the Community of the Resurrection, wrote a book, The Political Aspects of St. Augustine's City of God, in 1921. And he identifies there how Augustine distinguishes these two cities, the earthly city and the heavenly city. And the distinction is what they love. In the final analysis, the earthly city loves itself and glorifies itself, but the heavenly city loves God and glories in God. As Augustine puts it in one of his sermons, I'm not saying you should have no loves. I simply want your loves to be properly ordered. Put heavenly things before earthly, immortal things before mortal, everlasting things before transitory ones, and put the Lord before everything, and not just by praising him, but also by loving him. So if I had one thing I wanted you to take away from tonight, it's this. Augustine makes the central question of human existence, what things do I love, and how much do I love them? Because for Augustine, each individual, each community, each political entity has things which it loves and has a particular order to its loving. What makes a group is its common objects of love. A football club and its supporters are united by their love of the game. A monastic community by its love of God and of the stable pattern of life that is given through the community. A country by those things it values above all else. If you want to identify what a country values above all else, think about the things the politicians wouldn't dare touch. No politician trying to get elected in England today is going to say, I'm going to scrap the NHS. Because a love of the NHS, for all its faults, is something that unites us in the UK. No politician in the United States of America who wants to get elected is going to say, I am going to ban the right of individual citizens to carry firearms. Because for better or for worse, that is one of the things that unites Americans, is their belief that their civilization was founded on their ability to kick out the British because they all had guns. And so each society has, when you scratch below the surface, things that it loves and things that it prioritizes. You see, I grew up in an age where the liberal secular state claimed to be neutral. Augustine would say no legal system can ever be neutral. No legal system can ever suspend its judgment about what sort of creatures human beings are, how different human beings relate and are valuable compared to one another, or what counts as human flourishing. Each legal system makes choices about what different human beings are worth, what goals are worth pursuing socially and individually, and what body count it is prepared to accept in the pursuit of those goals. Now, although the City of God is Augustine's most sustained treatment of questions relating to law and politics, his sermons and his letters also show his continued concern to work through the implications of Christianity for law in the Roman Empire in general and for the province of Africa in particular. And so that's interesting because he not only gives us a theory, he also shows us what it might look like in terms of practical application.